Oh, good! You are not dead!
With the latest Bugs Strike Back update, many features were added to Grounded that make the backyard feel like a living and breathing place. With this update in mind, I have lots of new features that can make its way to Grounded. So I present Grounded, the Farm, Flap, and Forest update.
Science!
The Forest. In the Bug Strike Back update, there was a new uncompleted zone added to the east of the shed. This zone, as many of you have named, is called the Forest Zone. In this zone, grass and weeds are thick and there is little light. On the far east side of the forest is a large raspberry bush, around 1/3 of the size of the hedge. You can climb all throughout and find several new bugs and materials. In the center of the forest is a cedar tree, which cannot be climbed similar to the oak tree, but does have a small root cave system. In the forest you can find 5 new materials: spiral weeds, fern fiber, pine cones, raspberry chunks, and wattle. These can be found throughout the forest zone, in the raspberry bush and at the base of the cedar tree.
Science!
The Vegetable Garden. This zone is just north of the forest and contains several new materials and bugs. The main attraction of this zone is obviously the Vegetable Garden, which contains small vegetables that you can chop up, collect, and eat. In one of the garden patches, there is a lab that is hidden in a tunnel made by a certain creature, which is convenient because the lab is studying for said creature. Foreshadowing! Other than the garden and garden lab, there is not too much else here, apart from a couple field stations and other landmarks.
Science!
Now, this isn't new, but the garbage patch has had some updates. Now, a broken mini fridge can be found there, where you can mine a new tier 2 resource, ice, used for crafting new items. A couple infected bugs can also now be found there, along with not many but a few patches of fungus. There is also a single piece of charcoal there and several pieces of salt chunks, which will have a much longer respawn timer.
Science!
Obviously, with a new update comes new bugs. Butterflies. These bugs can be found throughout the forest and are neutral, which means that they will not attack unless you attack them. They are flying bugs and will land on flowers, otherwise they are always flying. They drop butterfly antennae and butterfly parts. Caterpillar. These bugs that are the baby version of butterflies. They can attack you, however it only does very little damage. They drop caterpillar hide on death. Fruit beetles. Similar to black ox beetles, there are only a few of these huge creatures in the yard. They can be found in the raspberry bush, gnawing on some very large berries. They drop a few twinkling shells, fruit beetle parts, and fruit beetle shells on death. Worm. This bug is an undefeatable bug, like the koi and crow. It roams the vegetable garden and will attack the player on sight, and will one-shot the player. Redback spiders. Even more powerful than infected wolf spiders, redback spiders roam the forest and vegetable garden and will attack on sight. They drop redback spider parts, spider fangs, and web fibers on death. Baby creatures. Every creature now has a baby or junior version of them, with the exception of aphids, weevils, and ants. Like orb weavers. They can be found in the same sort of spots as their parents and will drop a smaller amount of corresponding parts on death than their parents.
Science!
Spread throughout the yard, you can find eggs of various species. These can be destroyed to prevent more of that type of species spawning. However, destroying eggs or children will aggravate that species a lot more than killing an adult, making it more likely that it will be aware of your presence. If you do not destroy a species' egg, you will find that certain areas will be overrun with said species, so it's a bit of a balancing act. You do not want to have an area overrun, yet you do not want to aggravate the bugs and make them attack you and your base.
Science!
This is a special event that can happen randomly after 7 in-game days. There are various types of weather including heatwave, rain, and a windy day. Each weather event lasts about 1 day and then cannot happen again for another 7 in-game days. In a heatwave, all areas that are not shaded have a small burn effect, which means that you are forced to stay in the shade until the event is over. When it is raining, most areas will be underwater for a period of time after the rain is over. around an extra day, which means they will either be blocked off or will require a breathing apparatus to navigate. Finally, when it is windy, all blades of grass will be buffeted about, which removes the moving grass from an incoming large insect. Along with that, your base buildings that are made of grass or weed stones will slowly but surely lose durability, which means you have to fix them, else they will be destroyed. Mushroom bricks or burr will not be destroyed. Flying insects will also not spawn or be stuck to the ground.
Science.
Now, I have made a lot of new craftable items, and I am too lazy to voice over them, so I'm just going to edit them in.
Science.
And as the last section, I just have a few small changes. Some of them I made myself, and some of them from the Discord Grounded page.
Science.
I hope that you liked this theoretical update for Grounded. I had a lot of fun coming up with ideas for this episode. Also, just a quick word for those that are wondering, I do not have an upload schedule. These episodes take a lot of time to come up with the idea, let alone edit the video, and sometimes I just have no ideas or have no motivation to make the video. So if some episodes come out quicker than others or slower than others, that is why. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time.